Formula One returned to the USA for the first time in 9 years for round 15 of the Formula One World Championship, and they return to the very heart of American motorsport, Indianapolis. The old brickyard built back in 1909, and a huge crowd of 250,000 gathered here to see whether Mika Häkkinen could retain the lead in the Drivers' Championship. Michael Schumacher, pole position for him, the 30th of his career, just 2 points behind Häkkinen in the Drivers' title race. Starting grid looked like this. Michael Schumacher, 7th pole of the season, pipping David Coulthard by 0.126 of a second. 9th time that Coulthard had appeared on the front row this season. Row 2, Mika Häkkinen, 48 points in his last 6 Grand Prix, and the championship leader alongside Rubens Barrichello, 4th in the championship, but with no chance now of taking the title. Jarno Trulli and Jenson Button on row 3. On row 4, Heinz-Harald Frentzen and Jacques Villeneuve, former winner of the Indy 500. Pedro Diniz, one shy of a career best qualifying position, and Ralf Schumacher there on row 5. A drying track, but a dry weather setup for most of the drivers. David Coulthard crept forward before the lights were out, and his start was certain to be under investigation by the stewards. Michael Schumacher had to be content with second place going down towards the first corner. It was Coulthard, Michael Schumacher, Häkkinen, Barrichello. Barrichello under pressure from Trulli being tracked by Button. They swept off the Indianapolis banking to complete lap 1. Coulthard had a 1.2 second lead, 3.9 seconds covered the top 6. But obviously there were battles further down the order. This an all-German affair between Heinz-Harald Frentzen and Ralf Schumacher, and Frentzen taking 8th place. Button into the pits, having had some sort of contact with Jarno Trulli in the Jordan on lap 1, and these two were relegated right to the back of the field. Out on the circuit, Michael Schumacher starting to pressurise David Coulthard. Coulthard trying desperately to hold the inside line into turn 1, and these two briefly touched. No damage to either car, but Michael Schumacher was able to get into the lead, although disapproving of David Coulthard's tactics. Coulthard moved aside and let the championship challenger now, Mika Häkkinen, move through. Häkkinen, though, was immediately into the pits for a change of tyres, going to a dry setup at the end of lap 7, which put him out of the top 6. Michael Schumacher pressed on. David Coulthard served his 10-second stop-and-go penalty for jumping the start, and he too was relegated right down the order when he came in on the following lap to change to dry tyres. So Coulthard in 16th place at the end of lap 9. Out on the circuit, a tremendous battle between Ralf Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello. Ahead of them, Jacques Villeneuve in the BAR. It's Ralf Schumacher who had the speed to go past Barrichello as Trulli called in for a second stop. Delayed because the tyres weren't ready for him. And a very frustrated Italian in the cockpit of the Jordan headed down towards the first corner. Meantime, Mika Häkkinen was trying to work his way into the top 3. But the way through has been denied by the Minardi of Mazzucano. Trulli pulled to a stop just outside the pit lane. Very disappointing indeed for him. Meantime, Heinz-Harald Frentzen was still going strong, but he needed a good stop here, courtesy of his Jordan team. He got it, 7.4 seconds. He dropped from 2nd to 4th, but picked up 3rd again. Jenson Button went out, retiring his Williams. Michael Schumacher came in at the end of lap 16 to change from the wet weather setup to dries. Splash of fuel, and Schumacher was on his way and still in first place. Pedro Diniz was in the points, but skated off the circuit. He's still treacherous in parts and ready to catch out the unwary. Rubens Barrichello started to work his way through, taking the Sauber of Pedro Diniz as they went in to turn 1. The other Sauber was in deep trouble. Mika Salo skating off the track into the gravel trap, and no way back for him from there. Mika Häkkinen's chase after Michael Schumacher ended with a fire in the engine bay of the McLaren Mercedes. Mika Häkkinen philosophically walking away. Jos Verstappen had been fourth, but retired his arrows. David Coulthard started to come back into the picture. It's up to him now to salvage something for McLaren. Overtaking Diniz put him up to sixth. Ralf Schumacher in the pits, having been as high as second behind his brother. The stop dropped him down the order. Villeneuve went behind Barrichello as a result of a big spin. Did manage to keep going in the BAR. David Coulthard, another stop at the end of lap 41. Once more he went down the order, this time to 10th place. Schumacher in the pits again, and now any chance of points for him is completely out of the question. Fisichella retired his Benetton. Michael Schumacher came in for a smooth, unhurried pit stop and resumed in first place. Out on the circuit, it was Frentzen against Barrichello again. Frentzen into the pits. This was to drop him down to fourth place, but then he came back up to third when Villeneuve came into the pits. Barrichello from second. And the Brazilian stayed in second, Frentzen failing to make up the ground while Barrichello was stationary. Villeneuve past Frentzen, Frentzen past Villeneuve. Bit of grass tracking for the French Canadian. Michael Schumacher in trouble. Rare mistake by him. He clipped the curb hard, but managed to collect his Ferrari before too much damage was done. A wake-up call for the prospective world champion. He came off the banking for the last time to take 10 points as the checkered flag was waved for him in front of the massed ranks of Ferrari supporters packing the big grandstands at Indianapolis. Michael Schumacher having won in 1 hour 36 and 30 seconds. Rubens Barrichello made it a Ferrari 1-2. Ferrari celebrations began as the two crossed the finish line. A superb victory which gave Michael Schumacher the lead in the Drivers' Championship and Ferrari the lead in the Constructors' Championship. Michael Schumacher by 8 points from Mika Häkkinen. David Coulthard's even mathematical chance had now vanished. Rubens Barrichello, the only other man above 50 points. Ralf Schumacher, Giancarlo Fisichella, Jacques Villeneuve and Heinz-Harald Frentzen plus Jenson Button, the only other drivers into double figures. Yet to score a point in the year 2000 season. Marc Genet, Gaston Mazzacane of Minardi, Nick Heidfeld, Jean Alesi of Prost, Jaguars' Johnny Herbert and Sauber's Pedro Diniz. It's all changed too in the Constructors' Championship, with Ferrari edging ahead of McLaren as a result of picking up a full house of 16 points at Indianapolis. 10 points ahead of McLaren, no other team in with a chance. Williams, Benetton, Jordan and BAR level on 17 points, and everybody else left to fight over the minor placings. Minardi and Prost still to get off the mark. So delight for Michael Schumacher and for Ferrari in Indianapolis. A tremendous first appearance for them on this famous racetrack. Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello with their second 1-2 of the season. Heinz-Harald Frentzen equaling his best finish of the year. Jacques Villeneuve with his fourth place finish of 2000. David Coulthard, the 10-second penalty proving so costly, and Ricardo Zonta equaling his career best finish in 6th place. Further down the order, Johnny Herbert had made it up as high as 6th at one stage, but a lengthy pit stop for a new nose caused him to slip one lap down at the finish. Among the not classified drivers, most notably Mika Häkkinen, the only man who'd looked capable of actually matching Michael Schumacher for pace and racecraft around this circuit. Unfortunately for McLaren Mercedes, a rare failure from them, and he retired 25 laps in. So for Michael Schumacher and Ferrari and all their supporters gathered at Indianapolis, sheer delight.
The first time we've been here, and I guess nobody of us expected